information and a lot of underlying things about your enterprise that you may or may not be aware of.
And one of the things I would highlight here is that we're not talking about a brand new product. We're talking about a product that has actually been used and trusted for over 16 years. I always get my hand slapped when I say the F word, so I'll say the G word. This has been protecting government customers and the most sensitive organizations on the planet for over 16 years. It is built from the bottom up as an insider threat solution. This wasn't a product that we saw out there and said, hey, we can modify it and make it work in this space. This is designed by industry experts from the bottom up. Not included in the over 1 million endpoints protected, our largest customer today is protecting over 300,000 endpoints with this product. This is a highly scalable, highly trusted, highly stable platform solution that's been out there for a long time.
But let's not forget about the fact that those are really great use cases. I think the reality is we built it with insider threat in mind, but the reality is that as a function from like an observable protections and how ForcePoint kind of designed its architectures it's capable of a lot more than that. And so you can't view it as primarily just a very slim sliver of technology. The reality is it can see a lot of things. So, once you sort of introduce this level of observation or understanding, your ability to then transact against more interesting situations becomes a lot more reasonable. So things like IP admin changes, admin information within like a trade pipeline. So if you're dealing with, trading data and things that are pretty complicated systems that aren't easily monitored, you have to start to look at how you may be able to see that activity without custom-built systems. And that's where I think there's a really interesting story to talk about, breaking down your complicated, very proprietary business processes into a set of observable, information plot points, and then how you can sort of use technology to see those versus sort of having to feel that you have to build your own technology, which I think is a really kind of pervasive issue in larger financials. Is it doesn't feel like there's solutions that are set up for you. You sort of have to build your own stuff and maintain your own stuff, and that just creates a really big O&M problem. It gets very expensive over the years. So I think there's a different way to approach those problems as an enterprise. So I don't want to belabor that now, but there's a lot of different options that become reasonable once you start having more, insight.
Absolutely. Great point, Brandon. And, on this webcast, we kind of gave this malicious insider. It would probably fall under a fraud use case or privileged access, like you kind of pointed out, right? He had admin rights, able to load a software. There are many different, and I know we showed this slide earlier, but I think it's worth noting, we showed the malicious insider here. There are many different use cases that we could have given a demo of. And I do not take this lightly. I do not take this lightly at all. Our CEO, one of the customer that he got an email from that he likes to talk about, just to show the power of this tool and the capability of this tool, is he actually got an email where it was from a customer thanking him, saying, you've helped us save someone's life. And, as our CEO will point out, I get a lot of emails, thanks for saving my hide, thanks for saving my job, but never before had he ever gotten an email saying, thanks for saving someone's life. So they kind of explored with the account team and the customer and came to find out that what had happened is through the behavior and what was triggering in the tool, they were able to see that an employee was under a lot of distress, let alone stress, that it raised a major amount of concern. They actually ended up barging into his office and were able to stop the employee mid-act during an attempted suicide. So I do not take this lightly. That's not something I like to throw out there kind of in these webcasts. But it just shows you the power to see where the behaviors and of the actual employees can indicate risk and potential risk before it ever comes down. Now, the insider threat is an incredible tool to give you unparalleled visibility into what our users are doing. But it does not, the key here to keep in mind here is that we are linking data movement to user behavior. This is the behavior aspect of it. Now, how do we protect the data from leaving? It is not the insider threat tool that will actually stop the exfiltration of data. That is where a data loss prevention or data leakage prevention system will come into play. Now, sure, our insider threat will work with other DLP products, but there are many advantages with using ours. And if you look at the technology from ForcePoint's DLP, ForcePoint is the innovative leader in DLP, and we have been for over a decade. Now, this is something that I say, don't take my word on it. If you have a Gartner relationship, I strongly encourage you, do a customer inquiry with Brian Reed and ask him to validate what I'm about to say. But if you go back over the past decade, our fingerprinting and endpoint fingerprinting, ability to see a structured or unstructured data on a Windows or a Mac is second to none. Our Mac agent's over 6 years old. It's hands down the most mature in the industry, being able to go far beyond the discovery